A few months ago in this very room, I filmed some stuff that became part of a book release teaser trailer. And that book is my friend Phil Brucato's upcoming novel, Red Shoes. It's so beautiful. The cover art is by Cora Ocean, who's an independent artist living in Russia. As Phil was planning how to run the campaign, he said, I want you to write an album about this if we can get it to a stretch goal, because I also want to get you paid for that work. And that's some respect right there. So the next time that imposter syndrome comes calling, whatever happens with the campaign, then I have that thought that my friend, the author that everyone knows because of Mage the Ascension and Werewolf the Apocalypse and things like that, who also knows how to tell a really, really good urban fantasy story, has such love and respect for me and my work that he wants to make sure that I get paid before asking me to do any of it to tie in with his own work. I freely admit my bias because I've known Phil forever. We've been friends for almost half my life. But I really do think that I would have enjoyed the magic and the presentation and the form of this story, whether I had ever met him or not. So here's an excerpt which I share with Phil's permission. Stillness. Both the beginning and the ending of a dance. The eternal origin and end. A snake or a dragon eating its own tail. In the alchemy stuff I'd read, that snake or dragon is called Ouroboros, introspection, one that is all. The eternal cycle of life and death and rebirth, in which nothing really dies, only gets transformed. As chaos became silence, I began with stillness and started to move. I reached my hands out toward the edges of the room, those thick walls lost in writhing dark. My fingers climbed up toward the light, shining, sweaty, smudged with ash. I breathed deep, expanding, infinite. Energy surged outward from my core. My toes slid across the runes and ashes. Zills chimed inside my ears. Silence replaced the storm of sound. And in that calm, I danced. I'd never considered myself an artist until then. Art, I thought, was for other folks, not me. I was a poser, a performer, a kid trying to live out the fantasies in my head. But in that stillness, as I moved, I felt life flow through me in a stream. I became the ashes and the blood. All women, all men, and none of us, but all between. I even became Chalice, the dancer who had danced too far. I felt her hunger, her needs, the aspirations she had held, and the deals she'd made in order to become this Underhill queen of dance. I realized as I danced her path that patterns which seemed plain to me remained broken in her mind. Scattered pieces she couldn't read. They didn't fit until she forced them into place. She never saw the weave, only moving fragments of the greater whole. She was crying, sobbing up her guts. Red lights caught rivulets of tears. The shine, the power, the fearsome majesty of her was gone. Really, she was just a kid, my age maybe, but not really more than that. Her hands were stained with ashes and her face was smeared with blood. She didn't fight. All she did was cry. I didn't blame her. I'd cry too, if I had done what she had done. Many people think compassion involves sympathy and forgiveness. Bygones be bygones and all that crap. I disagree. Compassion, my mom says, involves seeing a person for who they are, honestly, warts and all. It doesn't mean forgiving them exactly. If the things they've done are terrible, then accept that they are terrible. Compassion means acknowledgement, not giving in. Sometimes, Mom told me once, the most compassionate thing you can do for someone is let them experience the consequences of what they do. And so, as I stood over Chalice, ashes on our hands and blood on our skins, I saw her and accepted her and mirrored what I saw. Chalice looked away, so I reached out, gently, but without remorse, took her face between my fingertips, looked her in the eyes, and whispered, "This is your mess, Chalice. Own it. Make it right." And then I let her go. No one moved. So I moved for all of us. I danced the lives that had been lost and stolen, the ashes beneath my feet and the tears in the eyes of the dancers who still lived. I felt their lives and let them go. It wasn't my place to hold or keep them. All I could do was move and be moved by them in turn. So I closed my eyes, and in the dark, we danced.